Let's let's see if we can get this show on the road. We're gonna be starting the stream soon, so anyone's in here, you know, do your thing. I'll That's fine. Uh, oh, somebody sent a gift. All right, how's it going? We're gonna get started here in a bit. All right. All right. All right. I guess we can get started. Let's get started in here. How's it going? Let's. All right, guys. Let's get this stupid crap going. All right. All right. So, all right. Well, just give me a minute. can, right, let's see. I need some pictures real quick. So let's see if I can find hey, hi chat. Uh so we're gonna be here today. We're gonna be doing something really fun for me. So this year in Yu-Gi-Oh, I played a lot of decks. I have a list of basically every deck I played this year, at least all the ones I can remember playing, all the ones I made videos on, all that. So, and I've decided that it would be really funny to rank all of them on a tier list, just based on like how much I enjoyed the deck and all of that. So, if anyone's watching, if you just say hi to the chat, uh, good, uh, get some more people in here. See if we can hey, how's it going? How's it going, Zach? Um, see if we can get some people in here. Share the live around. We're gonna be making this tier list. All right. So I have a lot of decks to get through. Uh, so we're just gonna start with how's it going? We're just gonna start with the deck that I am doing. How's it's going all right, Zach? We're doing a tier list of every single deck I've played this year. So we're gonna get started. Um, so we're gonna start with the deck that I am probably most well known for playing, and that's Rika. So I mean, I'm not gonna spend much time on Rika because I think that uh, s- a lot of my videos speak for themselves. I really like this deck, and I think we're just gonna put this deck in S tier and then move on with our lives. So let's move on to the next deck I wanted to talk about. So the next deck I wanted to bring up was one that I started playing this year, Mitsurugi. So Mitsurugi is actually, I think, probably has become one of my favorite decks this year. I picked it up around the time of the WCQ, and the deck has just been a lot of fun to play, a lot of really fun memories with it. A lot of times bring it to locals, and it was even the deck I brought to the WCQ to actually try and get my invite. Of course, I didn't get my invite because I was relatively new to the deck, but we're gonna start off with just pure Mitsurugi. So we're talking like, you know, not really playing anything with the deck, just playing it with reptile stuff and the pre-preparation of rights and all that. I think this deck, as it stands, I think pure, it's really, really fun. The problem I have with it is that it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's bricky, it's hard to get good hands with it because surprisingly enough, Mitsurugi, at least pure Mitsurugi, doesn't have as many starters as you'd think it would be. And most of those would die to one hand trap. Like everybody knows to like hit like Saji or something like that. And it can get pretty frustrating. So pure Mitsurugi, I really like the deck. It's one of my favorite decks. So I'm gonna be putting this one in A tier. Uh because at least the pure version, I think that the pure version is very straightforward and I just like it. And anybody that's in the chat, if you want to like give weigh in with your thoughts on some decks that you've played this year, feel free. We can discuss together. I think it'd be fun. But yeah, let's go down the list because despite the fact there's only four things here, I'm going to be adding more as the stream goes. Um, I have a lot more to get to. So the next one, this is the symbol for Azumina, but I'm using this to represent Mitsurugi Azumina. So Draco Tail has been one of your favorites. I I I think I have a variant of Draco Tail later in this tier list, so I might as well grab the file for that now. Hang on, I gotta get a something to represent Draco Tail. Um, I guess we can get like a picture of like Katu or something. Uh, let's see. All right, that should work for now. So we're gonna get Genesis has been my all-time favorite decks this year. I really enjoyed it more than any deck. I actually haven't played Gem Knights. Um, it was one of those decks that I saw other people play and it looked fun, but I just personally don't. I don't think it's really my style. All right, that's what we'll use to represent Draco Tail. How's it going, Sally? You can't just kick me. How's it going, Ryan? But it's not as strong as before with Phantom Limited. Oh, we're talking about Yubel? Oh yeah, Yubel is pretty good. Haven't seen y'all much. Yeah, I don't stream very often. That's that's the main reason. I want to stream more often, but I just don't have time for it. But right now, Sally and we're just doing a I'm doing a tier list of every single deck I've played this year. Uh, feel free to weigh in with what you've played this year. I haven't heard from Smoking y'all in a while. We've been around. Just probably not stream. We just don't stream as often anymore. Um, let's see. Can I pull up the chat on? There we go. Not as strong as before with Phantom Limit. Yeah, I really haven't played Bell much. All right. So anyway, back to the one I was going to bring up was Mitsuru Yasumina. This is one that I basically came up with on my own. I saw a few videos on it before, but nothing that really nothing too crazy about it. But this ended up being probably my favorite variant of Mitsurugi, simply because the problem I had with pure Mitsurugi is the fact that it bricks a little bit often, and the um, whether or not to join me in VC. I'm not in Discord right now, but if you want me to be in Discord, I can, mate. Um, what was the good news, Sally? Oh, that's great. Good for you. All right. But yeah, Fluffy Hat, if you're available right now and you want to be in VC, it would probably be helpful with the stream to have somebody else to talk to. So that's up to you. So we get some likes for Sally. She got engaged. Great job. Congratulations. Yeah, do that. I think that'd be great. Anyway, we got all right. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna try and get a friend of mine into the stream. It'd just be easier to have the stream if I have somebody to talk to while we're doing this. So just give me 1 second to get that set up. Somebody to roast me while I'm coming up with these arbitrary tiers. All right. I guess I'll also try to make sure that everybody can hear them when they show up. Thanks for the likes, guys. I appreciate y'all. Roasted plume. Look, I'm trying, all right? Let's see. All right. In either case, just give me a second, guys. I guess I could keep talking about what I was talking about before, which was Mitsuru Gazamina. If I can find the window for it. There we go. So yeah, Mitsurugi Azumina was the deck that actually just made me fall in love with Mitsurugi and became my favorite deck of the year because Mitsurugi was a deck that I already liked, but I felt like the pure version bricked a little bit. But then I played Deception of the Sinful Spoils, and that is well, don't worry about it. Thanks for coming out, Sally. Um, Yeah, it just became the deck that I really liked the most because Deception was a card that basically unbricked your hand. Deception would just tribute a monster in your hand to search for the Hallowed Azamina, and then you just on a new chain activate the monster you tributed, which would be either Habakiri, the Murakumo, or the Futsu. Yeah, have a happy new year. Um, dude, can we get the 5K likes? That'd be hype. Um, yeah, so Mitsuru Yazumina just became my favorite variant to play because it was just a variant that unbricked the hand and made an Omni on top of that, Ilya Sylvia. Now, the reason I say that though is also Azumina was a deck that I actually didn't like very much because I played White Forest Azumina, and White Forest Azumina was a deck that I like White Forest, and we'll get to White Forest in a bit. But the Azumina part was the part I didn't like with it because it just felt like more of just an extension to get to an Omni negate in uh White Forest than it felt like an actual part of the deck, if that makes sense. Whereas with Mitsurugi Azumina, while it is still that, it's that in a different way. Like I don't think there's a lot of overlap between White Forest and Azumina, at least not as much as I would like. And the overlap between the two decks in terms of Mitsurugi and Azumina is that Azumina can be used to basically help the other one. And that's part of the reason I like it so much. So Mitsurugi Azumina as a deck, I think is up there with Rika. It's not better than Rika for me because Rika is just the best deck for me, but it's definitely up there. So I would put that in S tier. Hmm. Let's see. All right, I need something to represent the next deck that I'm gonna do. So, uh, I guess I also need to talk about White Force at some point. All right. The next one I wanted to talk about was actually combining the two decks, Rika and Mitsurugi. So this was something that my friend Alex came up with, where you basically kind of similar to Mitsurugi Yummy, where you use Zombie Vampire, the bridge the two decks. You kind of do the same thing here. And what's interesting about it is that there's not a lot of overlap beyond that. You're basically just playing Rika cards with Mitsurugi cards in there. Which I mean is not a bad way to play the deck. It's like what I thought Mitsurugi Azumina was originally going to be, but it ended up not being that way. Um, but yeah, the combo is essentially you get to Zombie Vampire with the Mitsurugi cards, you set of prayers, and then you hope you mill a Rika Petal or a Lone Fire Blossom. And then you just do a full Rika combo. And it actually is surprisingly decent. I think that Alex played it a lot better than I did because he actually played Cactus Bouncer in it, and I chose not to do that. How's it going? How's it going, Fluffy Hat?
I am alive.
All right. Chat, can somebody verify that they can hear him and that he's not too loud?
Hang on. I got a slider. How about now? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, hello.
Okay, you don't have to be that guy. What about Sky Striker? I'm actually going to get the Sky Striker. I did play Sky Striker this year. I'll get to it. Is it a surprise that Rika is an S tier? Not at all, Fletch. All right. I'm getting some yeses from the chat that you are being heard, Ryan. So I,
Excellent.
I I I assume you're good to go. So let's continue. So I was just talking about Rika Mitsurugi and how stupid of an idea it was, but I actually loved it.
Certainly sounds stupid.
It is extremely stupid. Like, I feel like I could show off some of the deck lists, or at least like I'll pull up Dueling Book real quick. Let's go to Dueling Book, and I might as well like give an idea of what the deck is supposed to do, well, via Dueling Book. So ignore this. This is not important to what we're doing. Uh, so the idea of it was to similar to the how you play Mitsurugi Yumi. You make the zombie vampire, and you use the zombie vampire to mill 4 cards and hope you hit a Rickapetal or a Lone Fire Blossom. And then you go full Rika combo from there with a set Mitsurugi prayers so that you can bring out Murakuma on the opponent's turn. It's a very stupid idea for a deck, but I think both me and Alex agreed that it was so janky that we loved it. And I think I personally like it a whole lot better than Waimitsu not S bias. Okay, to clarify, this is pure Mitsurugi. Pure Mitsurugi is an A tier. This is Mitsurugi Azumina. Uh, I can probably get like something better for Mitsurugi Azumina to better represent it. I just think that Mitsurugi Azumina was just better for me. Bias? Fletch, that's the entire point of this tier list. This is all my opinions. Bias. Oh god. Sure, that's a better way to represent Mitsurugi Azumina. There. Also variants. Yeah. Yeah, variants of different decks. I just chose to lump Rika as a deck. I'd like Rika Sun Avalon, Rika Aroma all as one because we'd be here all day just on that. But for Rika Mitsurugi, I think personally this one is I don't know actually. Recency bias would say A tier. Sucks. I'd put this probably in B tier. It's just kind of it's in terms of both Rika and Mitsurugi, it's probably my least favorite way to play both decks, at least in terms of the ones I played. So I personally am not the huge fan of it, but you'll read a chat revolution. Please don't.
Today
All
is
right.
not today is not the time for revolution.
Today is not the time for revolution. Yeah, there's no revolution anymore. Um, this is already the best idea. All right. Let's see. What's the next one on my list? Uh, I guess it was. I guess I was talking about it earlier. Let's see if I can get something for. There we go. Let's save. All right, there we go. All right, next one I want to talk about is White Forest. My favorite. Not really, but it's up there. Next one is White Forest. Um, I'm gonna lump White Forest Asamina and White Forest, the one I play, together, more so because White Forest Azamina is like the much more standard version of playing White Forest, and I don't really like it very much because I talked about it earlier. I don't really like the Azamina stuff in White Forest, which is weird to say because that's kind of what it was made for. Um, but I just don't really like it very much. Also, love the delay from chat. Fletch, look, I'm doing my best. Anyway, so the version I play more often than the traditional version is White Forest Toy Box Fiendsmith. The basic premise of that is obviously using the toy box stuff to help you make 2 level 4s to go into Fiendsmith lines and then play White Forest. Um, the reason why I built it that way was purely because of Dominus Purge. Like, I got a playset of Dominus Purge. I know, money bags over here. But yeah, I got a playset of Dominus Purge, but I had no decks to play it in. So, because I didn't play Blue Eyes, I didn't play any of that. I really didn't I really didn't have any deck to play it with, but at that time I was playing White Forest Azamina, and I already had frustrating times with the Azamina parts of the deck. So the idea behind it was, can I find a variant of White Forest where I can play Dominus Purge? And that ended up being Toy Box Fiendsmith. And this ended up being the version of the deck I like a lot more. So and then the other thing about it too was I had copies of Dominus Impulse, and I was already playing that in pure Mitsurugi, but I wanted to make Mitsurugi better, so I came up with Azamina Mitsurugi, and Dominus Impulse still worked in that. So literally, it's because of the Dominus cards that I made both White Forest Fiendsmith and Azamina Mitsurugi, and I feel like that's uh, part of why I play those decks the way I do right now. Is it good enough for S tier though? in terms of decks that I played this year. I think if I stuck with the Azamina version, no. But because I changed it to the Fiendsmith version, I actually really liked it a lot. So I think that I'm gonna put in an S tier for now, but it's like a low S tier. Like if there was an S minus, that would be where it is. But it's still up there. I really like White Forest. Diabell is a cool card. All right. What's the next one? Um ooh. Next one's interesting. We're gonna see if I can get that. Give me a second, chat. How's chat doing today? You guys still holding up? How you doing, Fluffy?
I am still here, and I would like to bring up one of the diseases that has afflicted my mind as of late.
Go on. I'm collecting some images, so you have time.
Machina Orchest.
Machina Orchest. Feel free
Okay,
to feel free to enlighten everybody because I didn't play it, but I'm sure people would like to know about it.
so Machina Orchest. They kind of gel together, but not entirely, which is weird. But at the same time, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine because it
Yeah.
has one piece that makes this entire deck tick, and that would be Machina Ruin Force. Can't be normal summoner set. Must be summoned by banishing at least 12 levels worth of machines from your graveyard.
Huh?
When your opponent activates a card effect during the battle phase, you can pay half your life points to negate it. If this card is destroyed, you may first summon up to three up to three banished Machina monsters with levels equal to 12.
All right.
General,
Let's.
Generally, you're going to be bringing back your Machina Citadel, which is going to be your workhorse, but you are able to Orcus combo in this as well.
All right. So this motherfucker right here. That's the guy. Machina Ruin Force.
Machina Ruin Force.
Calling Diabell and such cool. It is. Bro, come on, man. Don't be like that, Fletch. Just because you don't like it, just because it's not an ancient gear monster or Naturia monster, doesn't mean you like it. We all know the only cool cards from the lore cycle are all goblins. Mm, I mean, the goblins are cool, but I haven't played them, so I wouldn't know.
Silence
Um,
Goblin Man.
Goblin Man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land. All right. All right, so the next one I wanted that was on my list was Dogmatica. Dogmatica was a deck that I didn't start playing this in 2025, but I'm not the dogma. I was going to smoke just the time for the dogma. Uh, the reason I'm putting this in here is because I played it like once in 2024, and it was like not really a deck that I played a whole lot of. But then in 2025, I decided to bring it back because of the branded structure deck. Yeah, of all the decks that the branded structure deck got me into, it was Dogmatica. But the reason why was because of the card Fallen the Virtuous. This card is so stupid. Like, why'd they print this card? Lost game one because a monster took nib from my hand on the fifth summon. Game two bricked. You were playing Killer Tune, right? Yeah, the Fall of the Virtuous convinced me to pick up Dogmatica again, and uh, it is like the singular reason that this deck is still pretty good because the, I mean, Albazoa is an insane card. That's the other reason I wanted to pick up. That's why I wanted to pick up the deck in the first place. The reason I brought it back was the Fallen and the Virtuous. Um, Dogmatica Flirtily the Thunderbolt was also really good, but not as great. I essentially played this deck once as a Heart of the Underdog tournament where it overperformed. But I thought it was really fun because what it is just essentially you just summon Albazoa and then you just play a control game for the rest of the time with Fallen the Virtuous and Punishment. And it can get really fun because Albazoa is a crazy card. If you don't know what Albazoa does, you essentially rip 7 cards out of your opponent's extra deck. Uh, and you hit him with a big 4,000 beat stick that is unaffected by the effects of Monster Swim from the extra deck. Yeah, that's essentially the deck. But it's really fun, and also can play Dominus Purge, but I don't think I did play it when I played it because Fallen the Virtuous would send Dragon of Bowser, Dogma, and Albion, which were dark monsters, and I didn't want to conflict with that. Um, but yeah, I've always had a something for ritual decks. I really like ritual decks, which is why another reason why Mitsurugi is one of my favorites. And this one was one that I thought was decent. Um, I think that putting this one on the tier list, I think I would have to put this one in B tier. Like I know I said I really like this deck, but B tier is like still like really like. I think once we get to D tier is when we get to stuff that I don't like. Like even C tier is like I still think is good. So yeah, Dogmatica I'd put in B tier. Next we got my first Genesis deck, that being Rose Dragons. Uh, Rose Dragons was something that I picked up basically when I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! That was terrible. I never played a deck that was as bad as Rose Dragons was. Like, um, God, I don't have the deck list anymore, but like, just to give you an idea of how terrible some of these cards were, this card is awful. Ruddy Rose Witch is terrible. This is the most forced support for a card, like a deck that I've ever seen. Basically, this says you tribute a card, this card, add 1 Witch of the Black Rose from your deck to your hand. If you do, take a level 3 or lower plant monster from your deck, place it at the top of your deck. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 Witch of the Black Rose from your hand. Well, why would you do any of that? Well, because Witch of the Black Rose is also a terrible card. Witch of the Black Rose says it cannot be special summoned. If it's normal summon and you control no other cards, you can draw 1 card and show it. Then, if it's not a monster, send it to graveyard. Also destroy this card. So basically, what you do with the Ruddy Rose Witch is that you search for Witch of the Black Rose, stack the top of your deck with a plant monster, then normal summon Witch of the Black Rose. It is the most forced support I've ever seen ever. And it's awful. Well, by the way, the card you'd stack with it is Rose Fairy, which is basically a poplar. You do Rose Fairy, it's cards added from your deck to your hand by a card effect, you special summon this card. So since you draw 1 card, the card you draw is Rose Fairy, you special summon it, and boom, bada bing, bada boom, you have a level 7. Absolutely awful. This is what it was back when I first picked up Rose Dragons. That's what it was. Man never experienced being a child trying to perform a marauding captain law. You're right. I don't plan on doing that. Um, by the way, Fletch, a lot of the quote unquote lag on the stream is me just not looking at chat. I'm a terrible streamer. Shut up. Um, but yeah, this new support for Rose Dragons is better. I still can't say it's good enough for it to be in the TCG because it's not. Like, okay, Bramble Rose Dragon, absolutely, it's good. That card's good. I still think it's kind of forced in the same way that the Ruddy Rose Witch was, where it quick effect summons a Black Rose Dragon and treats it as a synchro summon. But the reason that's the case is because when it's synchro summon, it destroys all cards on the field. So it makes sense why it does that. But I still think it's a little bit forced. I actually really like Bramble Rose Dragon for its burn effect more than anything else. I know that's very stupid of me to say, but that's why I like it. And the fact that it's a plant monster. Good job, Konami. You finally made the Rose Dragon a plant monster, as it should be.
My God, a plant monster in the year of our Lord 2025.
Oh God, Fletch is here to keep roasting me.
The thing I was saying about lag is more so that like the comments don't even pop up on screen, quote unquote, until like 30 seconds later or whatever.
That's fair. Welcome to the stream.
Yes.
It is a year in remembrance of terrible decks.
Terrible
You need to
decks
put
and all decks I played.
you need to put something in the bottom already.
I'll put something in the bottom. That'll be my next one. I just
You need to set the bottom and the top standard. The top standard, everyone fucking knows that you're gonna put Rika at the top.
It's
Anyway,
all
Rose
plant.
Dragons.
Nothing but plants.
Plants and plant accessories. Anyway.
This is correct.
Anyway, Rose Dragons. Rose Dragons I didn't think was good enough for the TCG, but I thought it was fantastic in Genesis. It was the first deck that I thought of when Genesis was announced.
Excellent.
And all the two card combos you can perform with it are just very fun for me. And all the stuff it finally feels like a somewhat competent deck if it was 2022.
Wow, somewhat competent. Daring today, aren't we?
Yeah.
2022? Wow.
Okay, I'll be fair. 2016. But
There we go. There we go.
Oh god, Link monsters. Wait.
this is that was like around when links were first coming out. No, that was what.
No, wait. I'm sorry. Links came out like. Wait, when did Links come out?
Links came out in 2016. I should know.
2016 was the year of Blue Eye Spirit Dragon winning the Worlds.
I think it was 2017 then.
So 2017 was Spiral.
Christ, I feel old.
Anyway,
it's me trying to remember because of the fact of being somewhat off center on Yu-Gi-Oh for so long is okay. Yes, we have Edison in 2010. We then move into the Xyz era shortly after, followed by then
Dragon
like
Rollers.
Yes, and then in like 2012 or so is when we started to move into pendulums.
right. Anyway, yeah, you're right. So like, yeah, in terms of the TCG, this deck is not great, but in terms of Genesis, I love this deck. So
it is hot garbage.
But in Genesis, you can play Dandelion, which makes this deck so much better.
What? You mean to tell me that a banned card banned for very specific reasons makes a deck better?
Yeah, it makes it so much better.
Wait. What do you mean specific reasons, Ryan? It's good in everything. It's chocolate sauce on every deck.
All right. But yeah, so the two card combos for this deck are fun for me, and I just really like playing Rose Dragons. I'm finally happy that there's a place where I can play it.
Yay.
And it's very not bad.
Yay.
So that's the point I'm trying to get across. In terms of the tier list, I would put this one in A tier. Like if this was TCG viable, it would be an S tier deck for me, but it's not. So it is still my favorite Genesis deck though.
Unfortunate.
All right, so All right. So we're gonna have our bottom base next. Like our my absolute probably least favorite deck that I played this year. In fact, I'm gonna make a new tier for it.
Bad.
Like this deck was absolute dog water for me. Uh, oops, I messed that up.
Bad.
I'm very bad at making tier lists. Obviously, I think part of the entertainment is that I'm very bad at this.
I mean, you're not
Anyway,
wrong.
anyway, um, I'm pretty sure that everybody, including me, forgot I even played this deck this year. I had to really dig for like some of these to remind myself that I played these. And I played this for 1 week, and it was absolute dog shit. I'm using this to represent it. This is Voiceless Voice Ryuge.
Are you gay?
Do you remember
Oh God.
Do you
Oh God.
remember
Are you
Ryuge?
gay?
I do. It was awful.
I forget. Ryan, isn't this one of the decks that like you said that you wanted to build something with at some point?
Yes, I wanted to combine it with fucking Gate Guardian of all things.
Yep, that's how you can tell that it was going to be a bad deck.
Let me tell you something about how desperate I was to play a ritual deck before Mitsurugi came out. Or before I had Mitsurugi cards, rather. That I thought that Voiceless Voice Ryuge was going to be a good idea. For
God,
those that don't remember this travesty,
God,
this
I can
was
smell the
this
copium coming off this.
this was the archetype that came out alongside Malice and Ryziel, two of the best decks of last year. Or was it early this year? I don't remember when they came out. But and this is the deck that everyone was like, "Oh, this deck has the potential to be good," which means the deck's bad.
Never trust a Yu-Gi-Oh player with the word potential.
Exactly. But I played Voiceless Voice in 2024, and I thought it was pretty boring. It wasn't a bad deck for the time. I just thought it was very linear and boring. So I was like, "Hey, why don't we make it janky and bad?" um, this was the worst idea I've come up with. And I'm not ashamed to admit that it was. I completely forgot I made it. Here's how bad it was. Because when I was making my deck profile, I made a deck profile for this deck. It's the first video I had to get deleted because the footage for the deck got corrupted.
I believe that was the universe telling you, sending you a sign.
It was telling me to not post this deck. And after that, I was like, I'm not even going to re-record this. I already took the deck apart. I am done. I am not playing this deck again. This deck was shit.
It is bad.
So, and the funny part was when I was making my on TikTok, I made the top 5 decks that I played and the bottom 3. I completely forgot on that when I made that video that I played this deck.
Tells you how
So
good it was.
tells you how great this deck was. So I feel no remorse putting that deck in F tier. That was awful. But just for context, by the way, Voiceless Voice would probably be a D tier deck. It's kind of boring. Yeah, so there we go. There's your that's the worst deck I played this year. There's a few runners for like second worst. We'll get to those. But yeah, that's where I wanted to go with that. Holy God, Holy Mother of God, that one was terrible.
Just complete trash. Garbage. Why did you build it?
Baggio. Why did I build it? Again, it was a different time. Like I think that what's amazing about this tier list, and we'll get to it at some point, but the we call it disparity between the decks I played in the first half of the year and the second half were completely different. Like the second half of the year, I was definitely playing more meta meta competent decks than I was at the beginning of the year.
Meta adjacent, if you will.
Meta adjacent is actually the best way to put it because I don't think I ever played a meta deck that, except for like Mitsurugi. Meta enough at least, and even then I wasn't playing a meta build of it.
Mm.
All right. So I did see somebody say it earlier in the chat. So I think it's time we talk about
These
um
guys, the sky striker
this
size hole in the room.
that's the Sky Striker size hole in the room. I did play Sky Striker this year.
That was me.
Shame.
And you guys can shame me for it,
Shame.
Shame.
but I like this deck.
Shame.
You can keep shaming me all you want. I actually liked this deck. This deck was fun.
You can't see it, but I'm shaking my head in haughty derision.
I don't blame you guys for doing that because genuinely, this was a deck that for a while I thought I was going to hate, and for a while I did.
While you were right.
While I was right. Um, when I built the deck, in my mind, I'm like, man, all these alt arts and stuff are really cool. So let's get the ugly gold rares. I deliberately made this deck to be as ugly as possible. I even used like the ugly Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami Sky Striker sleeves that are just so poor quality, just to show how much of I did not care for this deck. And then I played it, and I actually kind of liked it.
That's called sin. You're enjoying sin.
Well, boys, we lost another one.
Well,
Part of the
episode
reason I
over.
like it is because of that story of me doing that. I think the deck is fun to play, but like that story will always stick with me because now I don't have the deck anymore. I ended up selling it. It's one of those decks that maybe I'll build another time, but I'm right now I'm not going to play it. It also is responsible for one of my most popular videos on TikTok, and that's the video of me activating Radiant Typhoon Vision and drawing Ray and Rose. That was probably one of the funniest things that happened to me in one of the duels I recorded because I just had to discard my whole hand because I didn't have a quick play spell. It was so stupid. The entire video is just me activating Radiant Typhoon Vision, drawing Ray and Rose, saying I have to discard my whole hand, anything on resolution, and my opponent activates draw. That's the entire video, and it's hilarious.
Excellent to
So
hear.
So whether or not I like this deck or not, I have so many memories with it.
So do I. They were all bad.
So controversial.
Most of them with bad people.
It's a very controversial thing, but I have to give this at least a B tier because of that.
Sky Striker is not a deck piloted exclusively by assholes. It just attracts assholes.
I know, and there's decks like that. Like Tenpai is a deck like that too. But I can't deny the things that I did with this deck that were really funny.
Oh, you mean Sin?
Exactly.
Sin.
It was Sin, but it was funny Sin.
We've lost one.
We lost into the madness.
All right, that's enough. That's hey man, dude, man, trust me. With the next deck, I was lost to Sin a while ago. Let's talk about Labyrinth.
There's a difference between sin and gooning.
What the hell's wrong with you,
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
dude? Okay, I know this is a stream. I kind of want to edit this down to a video because
You want to distill the bullying? Wow, what a sadist.
that's not what I said. We're keeping all the bullying in. We're leaving all of it in. It's just part of the reason I want to do this is so I could get roasted on stream.
Sadist.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's
No,
talk about
sadist.
Labyrinth.
No, sadist is those who inflict pain. A masochist is the one that enjoys the pain.
Yeah, I'm being the masochist here. So anyway, Labyrinth. uh, I don't know how much I say this. I actually do like trap decks.
You know, I
I
played a trap deck once.
Yeah, how'd that go? What deck was it?
Dynamorphia.
That's true. But funny story. Me and my friend we're supposed to do a Labyrinth versus Dogmatica duel. We never got around to it. And the reason we stopped doing it is because Judgment went to one.
Oh, the horror.
Yeah. I didn't want to make it unfair for the Dogmatica player. Anyway, um, I don't know. I just like Labyrinth. I think it's a really fun trap deck. And trap decks I really like because they get a really bad reputation, obviously. Uh,
Obviously.
but and I understand it. I don't like the floodgatey version of Labyrinth or anything like that. But like playing Labyrinth as just like a standard control deck without any of the floodgates is actually there's actually a lot of skill that goes into doing that.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
And it doesn't seem like that on the surface, but like the way I think about it is like the same reason I like Rika so much. Like Rika doesn't have a lot of interruptions, which is why it makes it a deck that is much more skill intensive. Because anybody can learn a combo. I 100% believe anyone can learn a combo, but it's a completely different thing to learn when to interrupt your opponent and what with. And I think that trap decks really helped you learn that. Not floodgate decks, because you just flip up a floodgate and call it a day. But playing something like Labyrinth, you constantly have to think about, okay, when do I deploy the card that destroys my opponent's card, or when do I do this? When do I destroy something on the field or destroy something in your opponent's hand, or like how do I sequence these trap cards so that I don't lose to like an Imperm or an Ash Blossom? Like you constantly think about that when you're playing a trap deck. And the funny thing is, one of my favorite ways to play Labyrinth was with the simultaneous equation cannons. So which is, if you don't know, is the math card.
Oh God, the math. I didn't come to Yu-Gi-Oh to learn math. I came to play math.
So here's this is actually also just a really funny story about how do you spell simultaneous? Simultaneous equation cannons, or as people at my locals lovingly call it, sex cannons. Um, Not only you have to do a lot of math, the reason I stopped playing this card is because I was doing when I played it once at locals, I was doing the math and I flip it up because I can activate it, and then my opponent goes chain Cartesia to fusion summon, so that it changes the number of monsters on hand on the field. And for not even like a solid 5 minutes, I was doing the math in my head again to see if I could still do it. It turns out it resolves without effect. Somebody made this card resolve without effect when I
That
played it. It's
that's
so
possible.
fucking funny. But anyway, just all the different ways I played Labyrinth as well, I thought was just really fun. It was one of the decks that I was a little bit sad to actually take apart and sell because I really liked it. Um, I like it a lot more than Sky Striker, so I think I would put this in A tier, but it'd probably be the lowest A tier there is for me. All right, that's enough about that one. Do we want to go back to decks I don't like?
Yes, actually.
I don't want to do it too often because I don't play many decks. Surprisingly, I don't play many decks that that don't like. Like the decks I build are ones that I think I'm going to like or that I already know that I like, you know? So let's let's bring up the evil in the room next, shall we?
Oh god, the evil.
Let's talk about evil heroes.
Evil.
Evil, 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 evil.
So as these two idiots know, I I like heroes.
I
I
Wow.
like war.
Man, just man, man, man. Just man discovers that water is wet. More than 11.
Yeah. Well, Heroes is just a deck that's just been, funnily enough, on a very strange journey for me because I used to hate Heroes because I would hate going against DPE and Darklaw.
Yeah, that was a dark time. Dark,
Those are
dark time.
very dark times. But then when I actually tried Heroes, I actually figured out that I like the combo and I like summoning Shining Neos Wingman. That card is extremely fun.
As
Uh,
to be expected, Neo fixes everything.
yeah. So and then as time went on, I realized like the reason people hate Heroes is because Heroes just has a bunch of floodgatey cards. You know, they have Dark Angel, Dark Law, Plasma, and next year people are going to learn to summon Cosmo Neos. Like it's absolutely stupid how many floodgates Heroes has just stapled to their monsters.
Nobody understands it.
Nobody understands it. But I still really like just performing the combo of heroes. I don't really summon Darklaw very often, if at all.
Mm.
I I try to refrain from all of the floodgates because I just don't think it's a very fun way to play the deck anyway. And once again, Shining Neos Wingman just carries games most of the time for me. Like I think it's a very underrated card because you bring it out with favorite contact on your opponent's turn, you pop some cards, and it's a tower. So that's part of the reason I like it. That being said, Yugioh sucks.
Yeah, it does.
This this stuff didn't bring anything new to the table. I mean,
Still bad.
It technically did, but all of it was bad. It's like the same reason that I don't like Ragnaraka, because it did was add more names to the pile deck and didn't add anything that made it better. Like all that Ragnaraka did for plants was it added 5 names, and you could argue that you didn't want to draw all of any of them. And then Evil Heroes comes around, and while Dead End Prison is a decent card, that's the only decent card in the entire thing, and it's not necessary.
Yeah, buddy.
It didn't raise the ceiling; it just stretched the floor.
That
That's
floor was already to its limit.
yeah. And I'm just very happy that it completely flopped because I don't want to be playing Evil Heroes anymore because I think it's just the dumbest way to play Heroes. And like
Yeah,
even and
what you
and
should
like
do is what
sorry,
you
go
should
ahead.
do is what you should do is start playing Destiny Heroes. Destiny Heroes are awesome.
God
Yeah,
damn it.
I don't know, but that's plasma DP, so like no. So yeah, no, this one I think would go in F tier. It's not as bad as the Voiceless Voice for Yuge deck because that one is just straight up shit. Like this is just one archetype I didn't like in the cesspool of the hero archetypes.
There's so many.
And there's so many. There's so many I like. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about actual heroes because
We would be
I
here
did,
all day.
we'd be here all day. And also, I didn't this year. I only exclusively played heroes with evil heroes in them. So yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. All right, next up on the list, let's go to um. All right, I know what I was going to do next, but I think I'm going to change it up a little bit.
Ooh.
Because we did decks I like and decks I didn't like. Let's do something in the middle. Let's establish a middle ground. Like, what's a deck that I just think is all right?
Decks that you were whelmed by.
Yeah, very whelmed by. Like, these are the C tier types of decks. Let me see if I can find a decent picture for this one. I'm just gonna screw it. I'm just gonna get this card because I think it represents the entire deck very well.
It was kind of notable, I guess.
Well, it's notable because you don't play it in just this archetype, but yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Radiant Typhoon. So, oh, well, there goes my TikTok stream.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Am I
Anyway.
still streaming on I am still streaming on YouTube. Okay, good.
Yeah, you're good.
The
Everything's good.
TikTok stream said I was kicked for inactivity. Do you see inactivity? Anyway, all right. Let's talk about Radiant Typhoon. More specifically, Tri Brigade Radiant Typhoon, because I play I've been on an endless quest to make Tri Brigade a deck I like to play.
What a
To
what a leap.
to little success, I imagine.
It's been hit or miss. Like, I played Tri Brigade Glad Beast, and we'll get to Glad Beast soon enough. Um, and I didn't even like the Tri Brigade Gladiator Beast that much. I liked just pure Gladiator Beast a little bit more. But before that, I was like Tri Brigade Melfi. I tried to play Bird Up after its prime. Um, I even bounced around the idea of playing Tri Brigade Fire Kings. Like,
I tried bouncing around Tri Brigade Luna Lights, but the problem is that there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't always line up right.
yeah, I mean, you at the most you play like a Fractal in Luna Lights, but that's basically used as a
That
Foolish Burial.
that's just normal.
Yeah. Anyway, but then we get to Radiant Typhoon, which was a deck that I was pretty excited when it was announced because I just think it's really funny that there's a mystical space typhoon archetype, and it really did look a lot of fun because I really like the quick play spells. Unfortunately, when you hear quick play spells, what's the first thing you think of in terms of archetypes?
Kill it with fire.
Sky Strikers.
Sky
No,
Strikers actually don't have a lot of quick play spells. Think of a deck that has no main deck monsters.
Oh God.
Runic. Yep. If you don't know, Runic. And me and my homies hate Runic. Like, even though I say I like Sky Striker, the one thing I'll always say is I hate Runic. So
I was given Sky Striker, and I still feel ripped off.
anyway,
No wait, I was given Runic, and I still feel ripped off.
Runic was a deck that if for people that don't know, anyone in the chat who didn't play the game when Runic was a thing, it was a deck that
Oh,
revolved around Runic Fountain and quick play spells and summoning a monster from your extra to the extra monster zone and skipping your battle phase. Essentially, the game plan of that deck was to basically banish your opponent's entire deck. That was the whole point of it.
it was
And
Mill, like, but it wasn't. It was Mill. It was like Mill, but what was it Mill? It was awful.
it was terrible. The things about that it did were so frustrating. It's mostly associated with stun because if you're not going to play any monsters anyway, might as well play floodgates.
Mystic
Um,
Mine was a hell of a card.
Mystic Mine was a hell of a card, and Skill Drain was a hell of a card. It basically ruined Master Duel almost single handedly. Um,
Which is kind of amazing in of itself.
and there are and then people played it with Naturia, which Fletch, you and I both know that's no. It basically ruined Naturia. It basically got what's it, Sacred Tree limited,
Yep.
and to this day, it's still very frustrating. Even in Genesis, Radiant Typhoon Runic is a thing, and people hate it. So that was the main thing that you could combine with the cards, with the Radiant Typhoon cards. Because the Radiant Typhoon cards, if you don't know, revolve around are play spells, but there's also like Winged Beasts, and Beast Warriors and stuff and it revolves around Mystical Space Typhoon. So when I was building when I wanted to play Radiant Typhoon, the first thing I thought of is, okay, can I combine this with something that isn't Runic? And the thing I mentioned earlier is that a lot of them are Winged Beasts and Beast Warriors. So Tri Brigade was the next best thing. And I looked it up a little bit, and it turns out that one Radiant Typhoon monster is full Tri Brigade combo. Because it searches another one, you special summon it, you link two into Mauser, and Mauser's full combo. So it ended up being a really interesting way to play Tri Brigade. And I really did like this deck, but the reason that I'm putting it in C tier ultimately is because by the time that I wanted to play this deck, it was too little too late. Like this deck isn't good anymore. Like it's perfectly passable as a deck, but that's all it really is. And I think it's a fun deck to play, but the ceiling is so low with it, you really can't go anywhere with it. You make a Shirig and you call it a day.
You stand up and all you see is drywall.
Yeah. Like it's a very fun deck to pilot and play. It's just it doesn't go anywhere. And that's the main reason I'm putting this in C tier. All right. That being said, we brought it up when we were just talking about the deck. Let's talk about the darling of the first half of 2025 for me, Gladiator Beasts.
Do they still punch good?
They still punch very good. So the funny thing about this deck is that this is kind of kind of like the opposite of the Tri Brigade Radiant Typhoon, where the ceiling is extremely high for this deck, but there's no one card combo. There's a lot of two card combos with this deck, even two and a half. Like
Maybe even a 1.5 if you're feeling saucy.
uh no. Shockingly, no. There is no 1.5 card combo.
Shame.
Um, basically, the combo boils down to, can you get both Castell and Torix in your hand? And if the answer is no, then you're probably relying on Test Bear. I guess that's the 1.5 card combo is Test Bear plus any Glad Beast in your hand. But it's not a great one card combo. And then you also have like the Primite or Unexpected Die version with the Test Bear. And you have Rejection. Like, okay, this deck is really fun to pilot. It just is. I think this deck is really, really, really fun. And like I said, the ceiling is very high. You can end on 2 monster negates and as many spell trap gates as you have cards in hand, plus 2 battle phases. And it doesn't feel completely unfair.
Wild.
Yeah. And then you also have Gladiator Beast Charge, which is essentially a pop for how many Gladiator Beasts you have on the field. And it really does revolve a lot around Tamer Editor and Domitanus, which is perfectly fine for me because I think I think those cards are really fun. Like, if Tamer Editor was in any other deck, it would be banned immediately. But
You know, I
because
heard.
it's,
I
but it's
know an
Gladiator
archetype that
Beasts.
tried that. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I know an archetype that tried something like that once.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody hated it, and it was swiftly banned.
What color was it? Or deck?
Kalki Fibrax.
Yeah. Like, Tamer Editor just says, bring out any asshole you want in the deck and do it soft once per turn. Why don't you? Any other deck, that would be instantly banned. But Gladiator Beast is so janky that it's not banned.
it would slide in War Rock.
Yeah, God, Warrock would still be completely unplayable. But anyway, this was a deck that, for the time I played it, did extremely well at my locals. Like, I'm pretty sure I went undefeated or at least X1 every single time I played this deck at locals when I was playing it for the 3 or 4 months I was. And once again, this is a deck that I have a lot of fond memories with because at the WCQ, I met Ruggles, who's I don't know if you guys know who Ruggles is. He's he's a Yugi tuber, but he does mostly vlogs, and he's one of my favorite ones. He signed my QCR test bear
No.
because he's a really big fan of Gladiator Beasts and Heroes, it turns out. And he's a very sweet guy. And I will always cherish that memory of that because at that time, Gladiator Beast was one of my favorite decks, and it still is. So it is it is the jankiest deck I play, but it is one that I will always cherish. So for that reason, it's an S tier deck that I played this year. No question. I think that in the grand scheme of things, I like Mitsuru Yasmina better, just because it's a better deck. But Gladiator Beasts, like in terms of the play style, I like a lot more. And also, it's probably one of my favorite Edison decks. Moving on. All right. Let's see. What do we do next? Hmm. Let's do something that. Let's do something obscure that I played. Like we're talking something that nobody has played before except for me.
I don't know. I played a lot of crazy decks in my time.
We
Usually
were just
parlay.
talking about Machina. What was it? Machina what?
More Machina Orchest.
All right. I'll raise you a Centurion Math Mech.
What in the hell is that?
So let me explain because there is a lot of explaining to this deck, and none of it is stuff that realistically it's not a deck that should work, but it does. It's one of those decks.
Oh, just like the Machina Orchest.
Yeah. Now let me explain something to you because again it's going to take a little bit of explaining. I don't know if Dueling Book is going to cooperate, but I really need Dueling Book to cooperate for this one because it doesn't make sense. So while Dueling Book tries to connect, I'm going to go get some water real quick because I'm really thirsty. Be right back, chat.
Well, chat, I'm on my own. Not yet.
All right, chat. I'm back. Can you all hear me?
Get in my ear.
All right, cool. Let me explain this shit to you because do I have it actually? It'd make things a lot easier if it's already built. It's not okay. Sure. All right, let me explain. Let me pull up some Centurion cards for you. All right. So this, this was a deck that I built in lieu of Math Mech Circular going back to one because I love MathMech. MathMech was one of my favorite decks to play. And it's a deck that I enjoyed playing, despite the fact that the main way to play it was Cyber's Link Spam. I did not like the Link Spam version. The reason I liked this deck so much was because of Final Sigma. And the fact, math. Anyway, not important. But what is important is, technically speaking, because of the way MathMech because it has rank 4s and synchro 12s, doesn't really have any link monsters. So, what I discovered was that because of that, because the MathMech wants to make synchros and XCs rather than it wants to make link monsters, it can be combined with Centurion, because Centurion has a synchro 12 that is essentially full combo for them. So you have a MathMech line that starts with Circular and goes into Auxilla to get you to the field spell. But on the flip side of that, if you start with Centurion, you can do Centurion Primera to make an Alimbertion, and the Alimbertion searches for MathMech Circular. So this is a deck that both the archetypes actually flawlessly bounce off of each other. This is part of the reason I want Circular at 3, by the way, is for this deck. Um, these two decks surprisingly do a lot very well together. Like, you can have lines that you go Alimbertion and you set the super factorial, and then you just seamlessly go right back to playing Centurion. Or you start with Circular, you set up the Alimbertion line, you make the final Sigma, you set up the Billion Blade, and then you just seamlessly go to Centurion, or you can start with Centurion and just make a final Sigma and swing for game. It's ridiculously crazy how well these two decks work together. Of course, the deck is janky because a lot of the MathMech cards unironically are bricks, but it's amazing how much these two actually work together. It doesn't make sense, but it's awesome. So this deck was a concoction that I just came up with on a whim because Circular went to 1, and I don't regret playing it. Now, granted, this was a deck that I never actually played in a tournament, but I have a video on it. So I'm counting it for this tier list because I did play this deck a lot. I just never found the time to play this at a tournament. All of that being said, it is a deck I like more than Sky Striker. So B tier for sure. I don't think it's A tier. Like, if the deck was better, like if Circular went to 1 earlier when Centurion was relevant, then I think this would be an A tier deck easily. But as it stands, it's just kind of like, it was a fun deck to play, and I really liked it. I really like what I came up with for it. So yeah, that's the story of Centurion MathMech. All right. Now back to decks that I love. Let's talk about Dragon Maids. I'll keep it brief though. Dragon Maids is a deck that I've always really liked, and the new support for it just makes everything a word card combo, which was unheard of in Dragon Maids previously. Like, you'd get 4-card combos if you're lucky, and you maybe end on a Xiao. But now you consistently end on a Xiao and most likely a Spheres, and then it just pops off. It really is a fun deck, and I really enjoy it. It's currently my favorite deck to play in Master Duel. So yeah, that's the long and the short of it. S tier deck for me. And the reason I wanted to be brief on that is because this Lucius has been chilling there a while. This is representing Draco Tail Dragon Maid, which was a variant of Dragon Maid that I dabbled with. It makes the deck more consistent. but I don't think it's as fun. Uh, and also part of the reason is because everybody at my locals plays Draco Tail, and all of them either play the Shadal or the branded variant, and it kind of ruined Draco Tail for me in general. Um, but it does play very similar to Dragon Maid, so it's like fine. So the Draco Tail Dragon Maid version, I'm going to put an A tier below Labyrinth, but I prefer pure Dragon Maid. I think it's just more fun. All right, now what should we do next? Ooh! I know what we should do next, and I think you're going to appreciate this one. If I can find a good picture for it. Because I think this is one that you gave me, but I think you and I agree is like one of the best decks. So let me give it a second to pull it up. Cipher.
Oh,
All right, let's talk about Cipher and our Lord and Savior toy vendor. Praise be unto toy vendor.
praise be.
Praise be. So, all right. Jokes aside, this is one of the decks that either like you love this deck to death, or you have no idea how this deck does what it does.
Yeah, it's
um,
three archetypes mashed together violently.
quite literally, you got the Fluffles, you got the Edge Imps, and together they make the Fright First. And nobody knows why this deck does what it does, but it absolutely does. And
We play the anime.
it is probably one of the most anime decks you could possibly get, because Fluffle Frightfur is a deck that realistically you don't play any non-engine in except for Forbidden Droplet, because Forbidden Droplet sends Toy Vendor.
All of this is true.
All of this is very correct. Toy Vendor is one of the best cards in the deck. So if you don't know what Toy Vendor does, if it is sent to graveyard by any means, you can add one Fluffle Monster or Edge of Sabers from your deck to your hand. That is not once per turn. So the entire deck revolves around getting Toy Vendor into the graveyard just by any means necessary. And if Dueling Book would load, we could show you the madness that is this deck. Oh my god, please. Just show it. I want to just talk about this deck. I've been waiting to talk about this basically all day.
This deck is flipping nuts.
This deck is ridiculous. Um there we go. So this is the Genesis version of the deck. So I'm putting this in here because I didn't play this in this year in the TCG. I played this in Genesis. And this is the build I came up with. It's exactly 100 cards, first of all. Second of all, the only things you realistically play are Fool's Spirit and Forbidden Droplet in terms of staples. But what's really cool about this deck is that this deck, just over the years, has always been that one rogue deck that pops up every so often. Because there's always something. There's always something you can do with it. This is like the only deck where you can you can go into Fiendsmith combo, you can play Horus, this is one of the decks that got VFD banned. This deck has Eldritch the Golden Lord, and for a wild play Bahamut Shark, it's totally awesome.
Literally
How many other
anything
decks can do all of that?
literally anything that involves dark or fusion monsters, usually both, can play this.
Yeah.
And you
And
can't be stopped.
and it's just crazy. Like, how many decks play Eldritch the Golden Lord, Bahamut Shark, Apollosa, Royal Penguin's Garden, Forbidden Droplet, and like VFD, and it works. It's seamless.
Fight for Patchwork is a hell of a card.
Fight for Patchwork is one of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! This is Ketu Draco Tail for those that don't know. Adds an Egypt monster and a polymerization. This card was played in Branded for a while and is still a tech card in a lot of fusion decks such as Chimera. Now, as for the innovations of this year, as to what I was very excited about, you may be you may be wondering why Dueling Book keeps making me lose connection. I don't know.
Because of the
Dueling Book
bad
is
stuff.
I hate Dueling Book. For anyone that doesn't know, I know that's blasphemous. I hate Dueling Book. Dueling Book
No,
sucks.
no, Blasphemous is magic.
Shut up. So, Burial to Dawn's Light. This TCG exclusive card is really stupid. Monsters in your leftmost and rightmost mains monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. You only use the following effects once per turn. If cards in your hand, you can target one Fiend effect monster you control. Negate its effects if you do special summon this card, and if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add Mutiny in the Sky. Mutiny in the Sky fusion summons a Fiend or Fairy fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling them from your graveyard into your deck. And if this is in your graveyard, you can send a card and add it to your hand. Extremely underrated card. I love this card. So the obvious thing that people came up with was like, oh, you can play this in Burning Abyss because Burning Abyss is all fiends and fairies, you know? And it's like, yeah, you can do that. But you know what other deck is also all fiends and fairies? Fur and Edgehip. Pfeiffer's all fairies, Edgehip's all fiends. It works. It's seamless. And the best part about it is that Mutiny in the Sky, we play Fright Fur Fusion, which is basically the Miracle Fusion for Fright Furs. And it makes a Fright Fur Wolf that you just OTK by swinging at your opponent for like 6,000 damage. 60,000 damage, really. It's insane how much attack you can get with this one card. But then Mutiny in the Sky comes along and says, okay, well, instead of banishing the monsters, you never get them back. What if you just shuffle them back into your deck? And you start spinning the wheels all over again with Toy Vendor.
Yeah, just contact fuse it. What's the big deal? The Neos can contact fuse. Why can't we?
So yeah, that was the biggest innovation to Fright for this entire year. And I love this playing this deck just for fun. You know, it's just a deck I bring when I hang out with my friends just to play. It's a very casual, fun deck, but it can absolutely steal meta games. It's ridiculous. And I'm gonna turn off Dueling Book because it's gonna keep being a piece of crap. Um, so I will always sing this deck's praises. It's just one of my favorite decks to play. I will like. I'm so glad that Fluffy Hat over here introduced me to this deck because it's just the deck that no matter what is the pinnacle of like A tier for me. Like I could easily put this in S tier, easily. But I didn't play this deck a whole lot in the TCG. Like realistically, it should be like right here because it's just below Rose Dragon in terms of how much I like playing this deck in Genesis. But it absolutely is the pinnacle of an A tier deck for me. I will never not like this archetype.
I believe there was a time where we combined it with illusions.
Yeah, it was not great, but it was fun. All right. Let's see. Now we're kind of cooking with gas. Let's see. What do we do next? Um. Hold on. I know which one to do next. This one is also going to be one that some people might be surprised that I even picked up this deck. And um, I was surprised too. But I basically picked up this deck for a video, and I ended up kind of liking it. It was pretty cool. So let's talk about Mermails. Mermail Atlantean. This is if nobody if you guys think that Rika is a very like Rika Sun Avalon is a very confusing deck, you have not played Mermail Lantian. This is one of the most complicated decks I played this year for sure, and
Which
it's
is
because
weird.
like,
Which is weird because it's old, because it might be older than some of the players in this game.
and I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer is purely a freestyle deck. That's why it can still compete competitively, at least like on the rogue level. It's because it's a deck you completely freestyle.
Nobody
You,
has any idea what you're doing, least of all you.
least of all you. You just play the hand you're dealt and you improvise the rest of the combo. Mermail feels like it plays that way, but there actually are combos to it. There are one card combos in Mermail, but if you don't have the one card combo, you're basically freestyling it like Pfeiffer. And that's part of what I like about this deck. The only thing I don't like about this deck is that this turned into hand rip slot, where you basically just play Moon Glacia and Deep Sea Minstrel, and you say bye bye to 3 cards in your hand, opponent. Good luck. Good luck beating my 2 totally awesomes, which unfortunately you can't really make anymore because Bomb Shark is banned.
Thanks for that one, Atlanteans.
That was purely Ryzel's fault. But anyway, um, despite that, this is one of, if you could pilot this deck, this is one of the most interesting board breaker decks you can play, which is interesting to say because that's what Mermail was back when it first came out, was kind of like this really interesting combo board breaker deck. And that's kind of like the way you want to play it now these days. That's the way I like to play it. So realistically, what I like to do with Mermail is go second, and play things like the Atlantean heavy infantry that just pops a monster, or like this guy. I'm pretty sure this guy bounces like 3 cards back to your opponent's hand. It's actually kind of cool what you can do with Mermails when you're not focusing on the hand rip. Kind of like with Dark Worlds, where there's a lot of interesting things you can do with Dark World that isn't hand ripping on it. Mermails is the same way, except that it actually has combos. So I actually really did enjoy this deck, and I played this against my friend who was playing Fire Kings. We have a Fire King versus Atlantean duel on our channel, which, fun fact, is because those 2 archetypes are actually like enemies in the lore. So
It's
that's
a
part of the reason.
rival trying to
They're,
kill each other.
yeah, basically. Um, so yeah, that's the reason we did it, and that was legitimately the first time I was playing Mermails. I was improvising the entire thing. I like usually when I play for a video, I usually pick a deck that I know I know a lot about, because that way the combos are seamless. Um, Not with Mermails. That one I literally learned like the day before and improvised, and I still actually did pretty well with it. So overall, I think this deck's pretty fun. I think if I wanted to take the time to actually sit down and learn the deck, I would actually consider this like an A tier deck. But because I don't really want to do that, I'm gonna put this like probably low B tier, to be honest. Because like it didn't underwhelm me like Radiant Typhoon Tri Brigade did, but it was all right. Like I still think it was fun. I think I would have a lot more fun with it if it wasn't if I took the time to learn it. And if I do, then it becomes an A tier deck for me. So yeah, there's that one. That one's done. All right. All right. Now we get to one of the decks that I absolutely adore the theming of, but everything else about, and like has a really cool boss monster, but everything else about it just became a tragedy to me. Let's talk about Malice.
Oh God.
Oh, Malice, Malice. So remember when I was talking about how MathMech was unfortunately a victim of the fact that it was a Cybers deck and that it became a link slot pile deck? That's what Malice is, unfortunately. Because for all intents and purposes, Malice is like one of the strongest decks that Konami has ever come up with, except for maybe like Tier Limit is probably the only one I think would be stronger. That and like I was gonna say Kastira, but realistically, most of that is a Rise Heart. Rise Heart's probably the most powerful monster they ever came up with. That isn't VFD. Um, but Malice as a deck is is kind of just carried by the fact that it's a Cybers deck because you just play it as a Cyber slop deck with backup Adagnister and making the Arrival Cybers, whatever the hell it's called. I don't care for it for that reason. And the reason I say this is a tragedy is because one of my favorite books is Alice in Wonderland. I love Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Um, so when this deck was announced and it was very Alice in Wonderland themed, I was very hyped for it. Um, and as such, that's what makes me so sad that it became a slot pile because I love the theme. I think Malice Hearts Cryptor is a really cool card, but none of that matters because you just play Cyber Slot and you just play through everything, and everybody hates you for playing this deck.
Unfortunately, the meta got their hands on it, and now it's a deck almost exclusively played by chuds.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because there is a few cards that I genuinely like playing in this deck that are unorthodox but still work very well in this deck. I'm of course talking about one of my favorite uh Link 4s of all time, Topologic Zeraboros.
Ooh.
I love Topologic Zeraboros. So Zeraboros, for those that don't know, um, is a Link 4 that says you cannot summon or set monsters to any extra monsters those card points to. So if it's an EMZ, you don't really care about that. But it gains 200 attack for each banished card, and if a monster is special summoned to a zone it points to, everything on the field gets banished, and this comes back in the standby phase. And for all intents and purposes, this reads like a Malice card. The issue is everyone was playing Topologic Bomber Dragon for basically the same purpose, except instead of banishing, you destroy everything. And that's just lame. I don't like Bomber Dragon. I like Zeraboros. So the one time I played Malice, I made it a point to not turn it into such a link spam pile, and made it a point to make my end board involve Hearts Cryptor and Zeraboros. That was my goal, and I liked playing the deck that way. That was really fun, and I liked it so much that I made a video on it. I have a video on my YouTube channel on Malice. Not many people know that because it's not a popular video. Um, but the thing I say in one of my other videos about Malice, 99% of the reason I made that video in the first place, I was gonna like just quietly play Malice for a while and then just not ever make a video on it. The reason I made a video on it is because I thought the thumbnail was funny. Um, let me see if I could go to YouTube real quick. YouTube. Let me go to my channel real quick. Um, let's see. So let me go to my channel real quick because I just want to show you the thumbnail. Because where is it? Let's see, where's the map? There it is. that's the that's the thumbnail I came up with for the Malice deck because I'm just a huge fan of Tony Hawk and like the Tony Hawk games. So I made I went to Photoshop and made my own like uh Tony Hawk's Underground reference as a Malice. Like I just thought it was really funny, and that was like 99% of the reason I made the video in the first place. So I have that memory of playing Malice and making that thumbnail. I just think it's absolutely peak. But the deck itself, I just can't shake the fact that it's a D tier deck for me. Like it would be an F tier, but it's D tier simply because of those memories I have of making that thumbnail. If it wasn't for that thumbnail, this would be an F tier deck. uh, so yeah, there's that's the story of Malice for me. All right, let's go back to something more positive. Um, let's talk about a deck that I really liked when it came out, but I never got the chance to play it because it was expensive. And then um and then after a while, I finally got my hands on the cards because they were actually reasonable prices, and it got uh a second thing for it that made it very fun. So let's talk about Punk. I love the Punk deck. I don't usually talk about it very often, but it is one of those decks that I just have on me, similar to the Frightfur deck, where it's just a deck that I just have on me for when I'm playing with friends. And it's because like the Punk deck is just so fun to play. It's about just like losing life points to search for things or gain advantage, and then you slap down a freaking Psychic End Punisher and you win the game. It's really fun. And then you have the psychic support in terms of like a bunch of the stuff that searches emergency teleport. Serene Psychic Girl is a ridiculous card. Mind Procedure is a crazy card. I love the new Axon stuff, like Axon Kicker Oracle and Teleport Fusion. I think all those that psychic support that came out this year, horrifically underrated. I really like that stuff. Psychic Blaster Mark II is an insane card. Serene Psychic Sorceress is an insane card. And all of it fits perfectly well in the Punk deck. So one of my favorite decks that I play in Rogue tier is Psychic Punk. It's really fun. So yeah, for that reason, not much else to say about it. It's like the top of A tier for me. I will hope to play this deck more in 2026. I mean, any of these decks in like A tier and above, I hope to play more in 2026. Except for maybe like Draco Tail. All right, let's see what's next. All right, let's do one that's a little bit more of a funnier addition to this list. Uh, so let's talk about Amazonas.
Oh boy, we're doing this.
Yeah, we're doing this. All right, Amazonas. I like this deck. It's extremely stupid. It's not a good deck. I like
It's
it
awful.
though.
It's
It's
awful.
it's awful. It's it's something that it's just sad because like Melodious did what Amazon's tried to do but better. And part of the reason I'm bringing it up this year though is because we got Amazon's adjacent cards. Uh, it's called like Hunting Horn, which is like a quick play spell that lets you fusion summon a Earth Warrior. It was obviously like meant to be its own thing, and there are two monsters that you summon with it, both of which you play in Amazonas, and it's all pretty good. So basically, you do a bunch of summoning in the battle phase, except unlike Tenpai, you do it in a very jank way. So it's a very battle phase focused archetype that theoretically can OTK, but it really has a hard time doing so. Yeah, it's a deck that I just it's like the probably the jankiest deck that I still have built, and one that I bring with me when I hang out with my friends just to basically play a deck that I just don't care if I win or lose. Um, but as for like the new hunting horn stuff, I will say that was pretty underwhelming stuff. So I would actually put Amazoness in C tier. Uh, and not in the sense that it's not a deck that I wouldn't keep playing. It's a deck that I'm going to keep for a while. It's just the deck's bad.
So very bad.
It's not Ryuge bad, but it's pretty bad.
It's awful.
All right. Now enough of that. Let's talk about good fusion archetypes.
Such a thing exists?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's time to talk about one of my favorite combo decks that came out. And it obviously didn't come out this year. It's one that I keep building, taking apart and rebuilding because I like the deck and then I just take it apart and then bring it back together. Let's talk about Memento. Memento.
Darn, not the fusion deck I was hoping you to bring up.
I'll probably bring up a few other fusion decks later. I already know one that we're going to talk about later, and I'm actually saving it mostly because it's going to be looking towards 2026. I think now you know which one I'm talking about. Anyway, let's
Yep.
talk now. Now let's talk about Memento. Memento is a really fun deck. I can't stress that enough. It is a
Hey,
comp. What's up?
hey, so you remember a bunch of those early vanilla monsters from back in the day? Well, what
Mhm.
if we made an archetype referencing them and made it the most batshit thing you can imagine?
It's a deck that summons a big 5,000 beat stick, and it works.
It just works.
It just works. It's crazy, and it's a deck that has a lot of crazy support for it. Bone Party's a crazy card. Anguish is a crazy card. The Creation King's crazy. Twin Dragon, like it has the deck is just so fun to pilot. It's also one of those decks that you can kind of freestyle, but it does have combos, kind of similar to Mermail Atlantean in that way. In fact, it probably plays a lot like that deck, except there's no hand rips. And it genuinely is just the reason it's so fun though is because it's a deck that can play through basically anything. If your opponent draws you, no big deal. You have combos. If your opponent ashes you, no big deal. You have combos. If your opponent ghost spells you, no big deal. You have combos. Like the only thing that stops you realistically is Shifter, and that card's at one. So this is a deck that no matter what happens, you're getting your end. And not many decks can say that they can do that. Like even if you get nibbed at the end of the main phase, you're still summoning Combined Creation again. That's how many Kamasu you have in grave. It's crazy. I can't stress enough how much I like playing this deck. And the thing is, this is one of those decks that I love playing and I love going against. It's not very often that that happens. Like a lot of the decks that I play, I realistically don't want to go against. Like Rika is my favorite deck. I don't want to ever see it on the other side of the table. Mitsurugi, one of my favorite decks. I don't ever want to see my opponent playing it. White Forest. I like playing the deck. That deck basically is an FTK, though. I don't like seeing going against it.
If you would
Memento
like,
is the exception to this. Memento is so fun to play and so fun to play against because, like I said, Memento just kind of plays through everything. So your interruptions matter a lot in that. You have to make every single one of your interactions count. And that's why I like it. It's always a challenge. Like there's one person at my locals, he usually plays like meta decks, but like when he's playing like a rogue deck, every single time I play against him, it's a joy. It's a blast. And his favorite deck to play is Memento. It's his favorite deck. And I get it. That deck is so fun to play. And he's a really tough player. And every single time I play one of my decks, it gives me a hard time, especially when he's playing Memento. Memento is probably the deck that gives me the hardest time when I go against him. But those are the games that I really like, at least like at a higher level, where you constantly have to think about every single little interaction. And like Mitsurugi versus Memento is such a fun matchup because every single interaction matters when you're playing against Memento. So for that reason, this is just like one of my favorite decks. I want to put this in S tier really badly, but I think if I'm being honest, because I keep taking it apart, it just means like I just need a break from this deck for a little bit because it's just like it's a complicated deck, but if you can master it, it's really fun. I would honestly put it around Frightfur in terms of like a deck that I like playing. That if I do take it apart a bunch of times, but like I think I'm always gonna keep it around. All right. What's the next one? We were talking about Sky Striker. Okay. Let's go back to decks that I wasn't a huge fan of, but like I don't think are bad. Let's see. All right. Um, right. The next deck we're going to talk about. Let's is Juan in the chat? Let's talk about some VTubers.
Oh no, here we go again.
All right. Live Twins. More specifically, Live Twin Fiendsmith. Um, it's a good deck, but it's extremely linear. It's probably the most linear deck I've ever played. And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way. I think that like if you like Live Twins and Fiendsmith, this is the perfect deck for you because like obviously it's because Live Twin Fiendsmith. That's not the point. What I'm saying is like if you want a simple deck, it's the perfect deck for you. It's uh it's a deck that I just find a little too simple. And also like it's one of those decks where just kind of like Memento, you're probably most likely to get your combo going no matter what happens because you don't care about Joel and Lockbird. Um, but overall, it's just a perfectly fine deck. The It's a deck that didn't impress me, is what I'm trying to say. The only thing that I really liked about it is the alt art called by the grave because I just think that's hilarious. Other than that, it's certainly a deck that exists. So I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't have any strong feelings about it. I'm sure Juan is very happy that I was able to top with it, and it's a good deck. But I don't have anything strong to say about it. So we're just gonna put it there. All right. Oof. We're getting we're getting close to the end here. We got 5, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, we're getting close to the end here. Um, let's see, what should we do next? We have like 3 more to go. Yeah, about 3 more to go. All right. Let's knock out. Let me just get the pictures for the 2 of them then, and then we'll knock them out. What's the other one I'm missing? Oh yeah. All right. Let's do the funniest addition to this list. Um, let's do the deck that I just thought was the funniest addition to this list. And then we'll do the last two. So the funniest addition to this list is Skull Servants. I I did play Skull Servants this year on Halloween because
It's
it's the Halloween deck.
it's true. I saw it with my own eyes.
So just so I don't know if any like I know that people outside my locals and friend group are not going to know this, so I'll say this on stream. I do like playing theme decks. I think it's funny. I think I think it's just funny to play a theme deck every now and then. So every Halloween I pick up Skull Servants and just play it again. It's very fun. That being said, it is flavorful though because Skull Servants did actually get support this year in terms of like a continuous spell and a monster that gives you an extra normal summon. Which, funnily enough, that monster that gives you an extra normal summon ended up being the best card in the deck.
As is
It's
usually the case.
as is usually the case. So when I played this on Halloween, it was for a Heart of the Underdog, um, and I I did get first place. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember for sure. I'm sure that if somebody who goes to my locals is watching the stream right now or watching this, I'm sure they'll correct me in the comments. Oh, actually, you didn't get it. I'm like, who cares? I played Skull Servants. But here's the fun. This is easily going in S tier because it's peak. But like, um, I gotta tell you the story of what happened when I played this deck. So let me pull up uh, uh, this card. I don't know if you know what Hollow and Ween do. Have you ever seen these cards before?
I might have.
All right,
I
so
I believe Hollow is a card. I believe Hollow is a pendulum monster.
no, it's a level 4. It's this guy.
Oh,
So the only difference between the two is that one's a fiend, one's a zombie. Um, one's light and one's a dark. So the one I played both in the deck, but just for flavor win, because you could search both of them. Uh, but I played it for flavor more than anything because it was Halloween. But what this card does is really funny. So if this card is normal special summon, you can activate this effect. Uh, if you still control this face-up card, your opponent chooses one of the effects to apply. This card gains 800 attack for each zombie monster in your graveyard, or inflicts 500 damage to your opponent for each zombie monster in your graveyard. So basically, this card is another King of the Skull Servants. Um, when I played this deck, my opponent accidentally FTK'd himself. So what happened was, uh, I proceeded to do my Skull Servant combo, and I normal summoned Ween, and I was like, I was going second, right? I was going second. I normal summoned Ween with this extra normal summon, and I was like, okay, you can either choose the effect. This gains 800 attack for every zombie monster in graveyard, or you take 500 damage for each zombie monster in graveyard. And he's like, okay, I'll take the damage without looking at my graveyard. So I started counting how many zombie monsters in my graveyard, and I counted 17, which, if you don't know, is 8,500 damage. Both me and him just laughed our asses off for like 5 minutes after that because he just FTK'd himself.
behold, death.
Behold death. Uh, I think it was probably the funniest thing to happen between me, like me and that other guy. We have a lot of really funny duels. That was the funniest thing that ever happened to either one of us. uh, um, I'll never forget that. It was honestly just the funniest thing to ever happen with this deck. So yeah, the Skull Servants is just the deck to play if you just want a meme. It is the memeiest deck you could probably play. It
It
is
literally,
yeah, go ahead.
it literally, it literally started as a joke. Hey,
Hmm.
we have this weird 300 attack, 200 defense monster. He does nothing. He has no purpose. Let's give him an entire lore.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. And I love it. This deck is so fun. This deck will never not be fun.
This is true.
So yeah, that's the weirdest addition to this entire tier list. But I play Skull Servants every year, so it's fine. All right. Second to last deck. Let's talk about Vanquish Soul.
Yeah, the fighting game.
The fighting game. Stake your soul, your nose is mine. AKA the world champion of this year. And I'm going to be straight with you. I loved this deck before the ban list. Like, if this was pre-ban list Vanquish Soul, this would probably be an A, maybe an S tier deck for me. I love Vanquish Soul. It is one of my favorite decks to play. It's one of my favorite decks to meme, besides Skull Servant. Uh, Thanks to Mulatto the Duelist for his amazing video. Um, and overall, it's just really fun to play and all that. However, K9 killed it. K9 straight up killed it because it was already a good deck, and then K9 just came along like, what if your opponent just got punished for playing any hand trap in the game, and we gave you enough Earth monsters that you don't more Earth monsters than you know what to do with, and then you just set up basically the super FTK board back in the day that reminds me of the days of Alpaloza Baron Scythelock. Like, it's absolutely terrible that K9 did that to this deck. And Vanquish Soul was the deck that got punished for it by having Rosin and Stake Your Soul go to 1. So if we're talking just Vanquish Soul, A tier easily. But genuinely, K9 is the deck that ruined it for me. So for that
As we
reason, yeah.
as to be expected, the DLC came along and suddenly everything was thrown out of balance.
Yep.
No one knew what to do, so they just decided, fuck it, we're going to nerf some things.
Yep. They decided that the first wave was the problem, not the second wave. And it's a tragedy. I want to play Vanquish Soul, but I really don't want to play it with K9. It's not fun to play with K9.
We we must seize the means of fighting game. we must seize the means of fighter game production.
Yep. So as such, like I'm not even capping. Like Vanquish Soul is now a D tier deck for me because of that.
Ooh.
Because K9 absolutely ruined it. Oh. All right.
Maybe we'll get it back someday.
I hope so.
But that would require Konami to go, we were wrong about this.
I'll require him to ban Ripper and Azuna and Jokul and the entire K9 deck, and they're not going to do that.
Still making money off of it.
Yeah. Now, I saved this one for last, partially because I didn't really play it a whole lot this year, but this is going to be me looking to the future of 2026. Let's talk the GOAT, Predaplants.
Now this is why I'm here.
This is why you're here. Would you like to enlighten people on what Predaplants does?
Okay, so Predaplants. It is a fusion archetype from Arc 5, a genuine anime archetype, and through steady years of support has become pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the game is mostly control. You are trying to mess with your opponent, turn their monsters into level 1s, and then seize on the fact that they are level 1s and wimpy and squishy, and then kill them with it.
And then also Super Poly.
Super Poly is always there.
Super Poly is the best card in the deck and is the other name of the game because you want to use your opponent's monsters as fusion materials as well as your own, obviously. And with the new support coming out in 2026, you can finally play Predaplants as a proper plant deck. and I am very excited for that.
Unfortunately, as someone who played Predator Planet Albaz, I am not.
Now, that's next year. Let's talk about the one I played this year, which was Predaplant branded. It hasn't changed since its debut back in Dimension Force, which was a while ago. But it still holds up because the way I built it, I don't know if you built it this way. I built it as a blind second OTK
Eh,
deck.
I mostly built it to go either way.
You built it to go either way. I was just like, this deck doesn't really have the grind to go super far anymore because of how many cards you discard in terms of like a Luber and Super Poly. Like you were playing both, or branded opening is card thing. Branded opening is Super Poly. Um, you discard a lot of cards, so the control game is still there, and you can still do like Draco's Depilia plus Predator Planning, which is what you do going first, plus a Mirror Jade line. None of that is bad, but like I figured when I'm playing this deck, it doesn't feel like enough. So, but what does feel like enough is kind of similar to how I play Punk, where you summon the Psychic Empires with 10 billion attack and just swing for game. With the Predaplant, what you can do is Trify Overroot which Trify Overroot gains attack for every monster's attack that has predator counters on them. And that is how you OTK. Because you just summon one big bungus, give everything else a predator counter, and say, here's a 75,000 attack plant monster. Here you go, attack for game. That's how you do it. But now with branded in the mix, you can go first with the Mirror Jade and the Draco's Depilia, and even make a Predator Power Fusion Dragon. And I like playing it both ways. I like playing the OTK and the going first line. There's a lot of versatility in a deck like this, and once again, that versatility will be amplified next year with the new Predaplant support. But as it stands right now, this is one of the decks that, much like Fright Fur, I am never taking it apart. I'm always going to have it on me. It also is like the second deck I've ever built. It's the first proper archetype I built, and it has that special place in my heart for that. And for that, it honestly earns the S tier. So yeah, that is my tier list for every single deck that I played this year. I'm sure I forgot one or two, but I don't think it really matters that I did because I don't remember playing them.
If
And
if you forgot about it, it probably wasn't important.
probably wasn't important. Not as important as Ryuge voiceless voice. But regardless, I mean, obviously this is skewed towards the top, but that's because again, this is a deck list, a tier list of decks I played this year, and I usually play decks that I like, or at least I think I'm gonna like. So of course it's skewed more towards the top, and of course I'm gonna pick the decks that I play the most often. Like that's just given. So yeah, this is essentially the tier list that I've made for this. And next year, I hope to make another one at the end of the year, hopefully with a bunch of new stuff. Obviously, some things that might still stay for next year. This, maybe this, maybe this. Uh, and then I'm never getting rid of that. And then obviously the Skull Servant, because But who knows what who knows what 2026 has in terms of other decks that I would play? Because I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for it. Any closing thoughts?
Are you sure you got enough plant decks on this list?
I'm pretty sure. I didn't play
Okay.
Sylvans.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
uh, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a screenshot of this. And then yeah, this was actually I thought this would be just a fun stream to have. I might make this into a video. I might not. I just thought it would be fun, and I'm glad you had a good time too. Thanks for showing up, man.
No
Uh,
problem.
I hope that we do. I hope that we do more Commander
Yes. More
because
Commander content.
yeah,
Ma-
that's
Yu-Gi-Oh's,
some yeah. Go ahead.
Yu-Gi-Oh's dying. Join Magic the Gathering. There's good stuff in there.
I mean, if you ask Magic the Gathering players, you say that Magic is dying. Anyway, um, but maybe next year I do a tier list of also the Magic decks I played that year. We'll see. That'd be fun. Um, but I like to keep things mostly Yu-Gi-Oh on this channel. Yeah. All right, but in either case, I think that is that's enough for the stream. Uh, went for 2.5 hours. I got to get some dinner. I gotta relax and chill and all that stuff. So if anyone made it this far, thank you all for watching. Appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Um, yeah, and during the end phase, pedal goes back. Thank you all for watching. Peace.